Welcome, everyone. It's Thursday. Yay. Almost there, aren't we? Anywho, I've noticed that we want guarantees before we commit to something. We want the guarantee that things are going to work out before we commit to it. Now, let me ask you this question. Why? I'm asking this question of myself. Why is it that I want a guarantee before I commit? You know why we do that? Because we don't apply the law. We don't apply the principles. If we applied the principles, we would already know that we have a guarantee. What is the guarantee? Experience and imagination, what you would be doing if you were the man or the woman you wanted to be. Period. That is the guarantee. You make a choice, and you know that every cause has its effect, and every effect has its cause. You know, as within, so without, as above, so below. You know those things. So if you know those things, are you not then guaranteed? You want to change your life, but you don't know if it's going to work. What do you mean you don't know if it's going to work? You are the one to say, I am changing my life, and this is what I'm changing it to. And so long as you remain consistent and persistent to that change, what is the guarantee? The guarantee is built in. We don't have to chase things. We don't have to hope. We don't have to be desperate. We don't have to be any of those things. What we do have to be, though, is experiencing in imagination what we would be doing in reality if we were the men or the women we wanted to be. That's what we do. And if you notice, you are already doing it. Every time we sit and we A, reminisce, or B, project. What do I mean by project? This. I wonder what would happen if, oh man, what would I do if, what would I do if this was happening? What would I do if that was happening? That's projecting. You are speculating. Well, what would I be doing if this was, well, what if this went wrong? What if this went wrong? We're always experiencing an imagination. Every time you play out a scenario in your mind on how you think something would go, we are experiencing in imagination what we would be doing in reality if we were the men and women we wanted to be. We are always doing it. Every time we entertain the best case scenario, every time we entertain the worst case scenario, we are always experiencing in imagination what we would be doing in reality at every single turn. So why then do we want and insist on having a guarantee before we commit? You give yourself the guarantee. You give yourself the guarantee. I wanted to ask a question. Anybody notice that before one headline is over, before one emotional episode is over, another one just comes in riding its coattails, and it feels like there's no break? Anybody notice that? Deliberate, my friends. I told you yesterday, to prevent ourselves from mental impregnation, We've got to make our own selves pregnant mentally. What do you think the virgin is? You. The mood. The moment you make yourself deliberately feel a particular way, a mood, a mental attitude, a state of mind, you are now mentally impregnated. The moment you make yourself feel that thing deliberately. Nobody makes you feel it. You made yourself feel it. You mentally impregnated yourself, and now you will give birth to the corresponding experience. You see, when you're busy, preoccupied doing that, you tend to miss things that are going on in the rest of the world that seem to vie for every ounce of your attention. Watching you just simply observe, and you'll see it. You go, holy cow. Good morning, handsome. I'll come and kiss you soon. But that's what I'm saying to you. We want guarantees. Well, how's the world going to change? When you change, the world changes. When you change, the world changes. Think about that. That's guaranteed. The principle of cause and effect. The principle of correspondence. What you are on the inside is what you experience on the outside. It's what you interact with on the outside. So you bring about peace and tranquility in your own life. You now have to experience peace and tranquility on the outside. So that means things become more peaceful, guaranteed. It really, if we take the time, to sit, just and breathe. Don't fret about the world. Some call it a dumpster fire. Some say it's going to hell in a handbasket. But what if we had the guarantee that we could change it? You do have the guarantee. See, we keep looking for somebody to change it. Well, that somebody is you. That somebody is me. Remember the story with the egg? That one farm-laid egg in between commercially raised eggs. Under the microscope, commercially grown eggs had a distorted chemistry, a distorted image. Like how snowflakes have their own image? Yeah. Well, these commercial eggs had their image and it was distorted. But this one farm-raised egg was different. When you looked at it under the microscope, its makeup was different. It had a different pattern, a more harmonious pattern. So this scientist figured, you know what? Let me put this farm-raised egg in the middle and surround it with these well, wouldn't you know, the commercially grown eggs changed to match that farm egg. You know what that means for us? It means one person who is living in a way that is deliberate, right? With their own impression, their own snowflake, then their own snowflake pattern that is harmonious, has the capability of just influencing those around them. This is why you don't have to have the entire planet in agreement. You just have to have most of them. And whatever you get the most of them to agree to, you will change the pattern of the world. Now I can hear the collective, that can't be true. Remember the difference between truth and fact. If you get out there and you pay attention, certain people you hang around leave you feeling how? Certain people that you hang around leave you feeling how? Good, bad, or indifferent. Pay attention to how they make you feel, and you will then understand the experiment with the eggs. Why do they tell you one bad apple spoils the bunch? Why? Because you think that the whole thing was rotten? No, just one, and it has the ability to influence. That is a guarantee. It is everywhere. If you look around, you see it. Look around yourself. Pay attention and just observe. Do not judge what you see. Just observe what is happening. We could Bette Midler it from a distance, right? We could look at it from a distance and just watch. And you'll see what is happening. But then you'll realize you have the ability to make a beautiful change, not just in yourself, but to influence it. You think that word influencer came about because we were, discovering it? No. We just named correspondence something else. As within, so without. And the thing that is within you, the intensity by which it moves you, is the intensity by which you will influence yourself and others. Pay attention and you'll see it. Look at the intensity of fear going on at the moment. And it's not just fear, it's anger too. Oh yes, it's there. And I'm like, oh my goodness. But then I gotta catch myself because I'm like, whoo, girl, I gotta catch myself because we want to think that we're somehow invincible. No. Everyone is susceptible. No one is above it. We're all susceptible. That is why we keep watch, to guard our hearts and our minds. But what's the guarantee that's gonna... The guarantee is to apply the principles, because they're the only things that are guaranteed. Reaping and sowing. Scripture would say, as long as the earth remains, there shall be seed time and harvest. Seed time, harvest. That is far-reaching. That's the guarantee. The law is always on. You could think of it like an electric blanket. Just plug it in and keep yourself warm with it. Wrap yourself in the principles and live them deliberately. Listen, mentalism. The all is mind. The universe is a mental creation. Correspondence, as within, so without, as above, so below. Vibration, everything moves. Nothing stands still. Polarity. It is moving through a stage. Polarity does not mean duality. Polarity is telling you there's only one thing that's moving. Oh, how do you understand that? If you plant an acorn, what tree are you guaranteed to get? An oak tree. That is polarity, seed and tree. They're one thing, and it's just moving through the stages. It is moving from where it is to where it is going, from what it is to becoming what it is. Polarity. And the way that thing moves, the rhythm, the ebb and the flow, the pattern by which it moves is what allows you to identify the stage that it is at, because everything has a pattern. What do scientists tell you? Oh, the Fibonacci. Everything has that signature swirl in it. The universe, the plants. Everything has that signature Fibonacci swirl. A pattern. So now that you've got this pattern and it helps you to identify where you are, what you're doing, it now causes. And every cause has its effect. But you see, every effect, it has its cause. I forgot to tell you that rhythm always compensates. Well, how so? If you go 90 to the left, it comes back 90 to the right. Why? As within, so without. So it has to match at all times. Some would say what that means, it has to balance. Hmm. So after cause and effect, well, now we have gender. The process of generation. We generate ideas. We generate moods. The thing that is generated is masculine. Because at first it is in the mind. You can't see it. It's generated. But then when it takes on embodiment, when you embody it, when you give it form so that you can interact with it in the outside world, now it is feminine. That is what true masculine and feminine are. They're a principle of creation. Male and female are expressions of creation. So if you think about it, male and female are feminine because they are the embodiment of the generation. They said, let us make man in our image. That's masculine. It wasn't there yet. But the moment they made it and gave it form, it became feminine. So you could interact with it. That is what gender means, to generate. So if we apply those things to our lives on a daily basis, well, how do we apply them? Mentalism would tell you that you know that you exist, you know that you are. And your experience on the outside that you're presently living is correspondence. What you believe yourself to be is how you must behave. Not because you're coerced to behave that way, but because you are the seed. And when you eat the fruit, you know what seed was planted. Right? And we're always moving, aren't we? Thoughts are hither and yon. We're back and forth. We're always moving. Even while our bodies are at rest, the brain is still functioning. It is still moving, still breathing. Nothing stands still. And we are always moving from what we are, from what we say we are, and then we see it and we become it. It's polarity. We're always moving through that stage. And if we pay attention to how and what we're doing as we move, we'll see the mentality that we have. We'll see the pattern of thoughts. Scripture would say, capture every thought. Capture it? Are they butterflies? Why should you capture them? It's just to observe them, to make sure that what you say you are, you're confirming it. This is how we live on a daily basis. Why do you think why people say, well, history keeps repeating itself? Because the pattern never changes. The pattern of behavior never changes. So history must repeat itself. It's not a coincidence that it does. We don't change. Why not? Because we are afraid to change or we prefer the status quo. And you know what? When we do the same thing the same way every time, something happens in the brain. It's called a neurological pathway, so that you will do this thing the same way every time, unless you deliberately decide to change. That is when history will change itself. History is simply a reflection of the present patterns humanity holds. That's all it is. It is a reflection of us. I was in a room the other day and someone asked, why would God allow these things to happen? Who's pulling the gun? The man or the woman? Humanity is. Humanity. We are the ones in charge. But you see, we forgot because, well, what's the guarantee that I'm in charge? What's the guarantee? The guarantee that you are in charge, my friends, are those principles and the ability to apply them to your life. You see, we love to talk about our problems, talk it out. That's what we do. But if we experience in imagination what we would be doing if we were different from our problems, well, we would bring about that change. That is guaranteed. The same way that we talk about problems and then just more seem to pop up, like the Hydra. You get rid of one problem, oh, look, there's two more. Because we are focused on the problem. We keep planting the seeds of problems. So if you plant the seed of a solution, how does one plant the seed of a solution? You see that inner conversation we always have with ourselves? Listen, we are always talking to ourselves, whether our lips are moving or they're not. We are always talking to ourselves. Oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Such an idiot. I can't seem to shake this. Every time I can't stand it. Or, this feels really good. I appreciate this. This is real nice. Yeah, thanks. Weren't they so nice that I had to pay it forward? Oh, that was just the greatest feeling in the world, man. We're always having an inner conversation. The inner conversation is the evidence of the present mental mood, mental attitude. And that mental mood, that mental attitude guarantees the conversation you're going to have with yourself. It guarantees the actions you're going to do. As within, so without. It guarantees it. So if you say you want to change, then imagine, if you will, that you are a seed of change. Now, can you name that change? When you name that change, you've just identified the seed that you are. A seed of courage. Now, the seed of courage has a particular mental attitude, a way you would walk, a way you would talk, a way you would brush your teeth, a way you would comb your hair, a way you would drive, a way you would sip your tea or your coffee or your latte. There's a mental attitude associated with courage, or else you would not be able to identify it. You will know one another by your what? Your fruit. So, what change do you want to embody? Then that is the seed you plant. Where do you plant it? In your mind's eye, in your imagination. How do you plant it? You plant it by beginning to experience in imagination what you would be doing in reality if you changed. That is how you plant that seed in your mind's eye. Because remember, as long as you plant that seed there, you generate the idea of change and say, this is what I want to become. So if you say, this is what I want to become, well, then you embody that attitude over and over and over and over and over and over again. Until what? You can do it with your eyes closed. Because then you've become it. That's the guarantee. The guarantee is you become what you practice. That is not hearsay. For any one of us who can type, and you can type 60 plus words a minute, you think you woke up and you did that? No, you practiced. You backspaced, you made mistakes, blah, 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 but you practiced your typing, thereby developing a neurological pathway so you can type with you're looking at the text you're typing, not the keyboard. You become what you practice. So if you practice complaining, dun dun dun, what are you guaranteed? To be a master complainer. But if you practice deliberately who you say you want to become and you practice that mental attitude, well, the same way you practice that mental attitude and you become it, that's the guarantee. But what if I get it wrong? The principle of correspondence tells you you always get it right. What? You mean I'm always right? Oh, I dare you to walk through the day saying I'm always right. Do it. I am always right. Do you know why you're always right? As within, so without. You must what? Reap what you have sown. You can't reap other than what you've sown. So you are always right. It is not an arrogant thing to say I'm always right. It is a check and balance for you to understand that, what's my mental attitude? Well, this is my mental attitude. So you see, that's going to bring about that kind of an experience to match. I'm always right. Ugh. You always have a guarantee. You are guaranteed that every cause has its effect and every effect has its cause. You are guaranteed that. Nah, but some of us would rather believe, well, if the Lord wills, if who wills? Do you want to change or do you want to remain as you are? But Angela, I've had this OCD, I had this bipolar, I got this anxiety, I got this, oh my word, I got this diabetes, I got this. Uh, we bog ourselves down with what we got. But how about we lighten the load and experience in imagination what we would be doing in reality if we did not have it? If every day, listen, you walk down the street, you know that you got arthritis. Because that's the conversation you're having with yourself. So, Angela, you're trying to tell me that it's my fault that I got this problem? Put aside the anger for a moment. Put aside the judgment for a moment and comprehend something. If you persist in a particular way of doing something mentally, your body has to show you what you are doing. You ever had somebody say to you, you hold all your tension in your back? How do they know that you're holding tension? Because the back is tight. And as above, so below. Tension in the thoughts, tension in the body. In TCM, the organs do something. Liver doesn't just filter blood. Spleen doesn't just make blood. No, 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 no. Kidneys don't just filter water in the Bowman's capsule. No. Kidneys are associated with an emotion, fear. Why? You know how we remember it in school? When you're afraid, what's the first thing sometimes that you do? You pee your pants. It has a downward drawing effect, which is fear. Okay? Liver, anger, repressed emotion, resentment. Yeah. So when you start to hold on to these emotions that nobody can see, your body sees though. Why do you think scientists tell you that every single cell in your body watches you? Because it is an effect. Every cause has its effect. So I'm not saying to you it's your fault. I'm saying to you cause and effect are at work. And when you know that they are at work, you have to move accordingly now. Nobody's saying you shouldn't feel your emotions. By golly, you should observe them because they're telling you something. You ever see someone? Okay, so stomach 6, the acupuncture point. You know when you grit your teeth and you feel that muscle come up there on the sides? It's called a masseter. A masseter, yeah, you chew. That muscle there that helps you to chew. A lot of people grit their teeth, grind their teeth, and they wonder why. The jaw is so tight, but then when the jaw is tight, the temples are tight. Temporal mandibular joint, TMJ. And we are in pain. Why? Because the tension you hold it there and you grit your teeth and your jaw is tight. You must always show in your body what you are dealing with mentally. Cause and effect. So when you now begin to comprehend and put those two things together, you will realize the guarantees you're given. Oh, but Angela, my knees, my back, your Lord have mercy. Knees and back, we can look at that. Kidney, you feeling unsupported. You got to do it by yourself. Because chances are, as above, so below, then the shoulders now, too. Feeling overwhelmed. It shows up in the body. Guaranteed. So, you want to make a change. Look at those emotions. Look at the listen, you don't have to go searching. This is not a scavenger hunt. If you pay attention, you'll see the one you habitually feel. You'll see it. If you don't see it, if you listen to yourself, you'll hear yourself say, "Man, why do I always do this? Why is this always happening to me?" That's your cue that you're playing in the same sandbox day in and day out. And if you keep playing in the same sandbox day in and day out, you are guaranteed that same outcome every time. So don't fret to think, oh, that is so weird. Don't fret yourselves and try and figure it out. You don't have to figure it out. You are guaranteed that if you generate the idea of your change, you will embody it. Keep practicing it and you will embody it. Now, here's how you practice it, that mental attitude, because here's how you're already doing it. You and I already do it. We already talk to ourselves. Man, I can't do this. I can't do that. Oh, you know what? Let me try this thing out. I'm sure I could do it. Let me practice this thing. We talk to ourselves all the time. So if we're talking to ourselves all the time, right? Well, then that's how you get your change. Have the same conversation over and over again with yourself, and you're setting down a neurological pathway. You're not just spitting into the wind. That's not what you're doing. You're forming a neurological pathway inside your brain to facilitate the change. So step 1, acknowledge where you are and what you're doing. Step 2, experience in imagination what you would be doing in reality if you were the man or the woman you wanted to be. What does that mean? It means, how would you get into bed every night knowing that you had changed? You ever catch yourself saying, "Oh my God, I remember when I used to dot, dot, dot." You ever catch yourself saying that? Listen, we say it so often, Neville Goddard developed a technique to help you. If you're going to talk to yourself about the past, you say, "Oh, I remember when I used to do that. Well, thank goodness I don't anymore." Because that implies that you've changed. And so long as you persist in that, oh, I remember when. Oh my God. Whew. It's a good thing I'm no longer like that. Good thing. You persist in that, your change is guaranteed. Not because somebody answered your prayer, but because you set down a neurological pathway inside your brain. You wired yourself for the change. If the body has the ability to show you where you have caused an issue with your health, it also has the same capacity to show you where you bring about your healing. But it always begins mentally. I was watching this movie and the the master was describing, and he says, nothing gets into the body first, you know. It enters through the awareness first, and then the body responds. He says it is equivalent of hypnosis or suggestion. It gets to the awareness first. You have to say, I am, before this thing materializes, is what he's saying. So then Noah and I are watching that movie. He looks at me and he goes, Ma, he's talking about the principles. I said, I know, right? Mm. Anywho, your change is guaranteed. You don't have to hope and fast and dance naked in the moonlight. You could dance naked in the moonlight if you wanted to, but that's another story. That'd be a whole nother thing, but I digress. Decide what you want the change to be. I want to be what? What mental attitude do I want to have? Because you know when you say, I want this, we can want it all we want, but you have to become it in order to experience it. So we move ourselves from a place of lacking to a place of having when we become. So you have to become it. I missed you, Casey. Hey, girl. You have to become it. Well, if you want to bear the fruit, if you want to have that experience, well, then you have to plant the mental seed that matches it. But we don't take time to discover that. Well, I just need a new car, Angela. I need a new house, Angela. Yes, but what's that mental attitude? It would be relief. It would be freedom. It would be peace. So begin to embody those things. Now, and that's when you employ, well, how would you get in and out of bed? How would you sweep the floor? What mental frame of mind would you be in when you did those things? Then begin to do them from that place. So every time that if you're going to use the example of sweeping, every time you sweep, put yourself in that place mentally. Every time you wash your hands, put yourself in that place mentally. Choose one thing that you would be doing in reality if you were the man or the woman you wanted to be, just one. And every time you do it, put yourself in the mood. Every time. Because you're saying to yourself, listen, this is the person I'm becoming. And if I was whoever, I'd still have to wash my hands. I'd still have to wash my face. So I would wash my face from this place mentally. Well, then begin to wash your face from that. All you're doing with that one thing, that one scene. Because Neville says you can do a state akin to sleep. You put yourself in a light trance, then, if you will. But if you realize Neville, he got to the point where he didn't have to put himself into that trance. He was talking to somebody on the phone. He said he heard for them, which meant people call him and talk to him all the time. So he just learned how to hear what they wanted him to hear. He heard their success because that's what he'd be doing anyway. He'd be listening to their good news. So he just put himself in the mental attitude of hearing good news so that he never had to put himself in a trance anymore, like that state akin to sleep. He graduated from there. He just used the telephone because people would always call him or write him a letter to say, "Oh my God, Neville, you would never guess what happened." And he'd be like, "Oh, tell me." But he already knew because he heard it for them. So you choose something that you would naturally be doing. And every time you do it, you put yourself in that mental frame of mind. Because now you've moved from wanting to living in the end. Because you're doing what you would be doing. Some would say you're acting as if. Anywho, that is exactly how you do it. Because you're already doing it every day. Every time you sweep that floor and you remember something, you're like, you're sweeping the floor. And remember that commercial where she was, they showed you her toothbrush and she was brushing her teeth and she would brush her teeth, they showed you her hairbrush and pull out all her hair because she was brushing in a state of frustration. She was upset. And so then the dog, she took the brush, she was going to brush the dog, and the dog was like, "Arr!" Right? Because the dog didn't want to be brushed from that state. I don't know if you remember that commercial, but I remember that commercial. So we do these things from a mental place already. So if we learn to do them from a different mental attitude, you will do those things because you're going to change your life so that when you do them, you're going to do them from that place now, which means you're living out the experience you want to have. And is it guaranteed? 100%. 100. It is guaranteed. How do you know? As within, so without. As above, so below. And you crack that egg open, or should I say, a minute that thing pecks its way out, whatever comes out, you'll know what it was on the inside. As within, so without. You can't see it yet. It's just an egg. You arrange a whole bunch of eggs and don't tell anybody what kind of eggs they are. And just let. Oh, you are so timely. Because the chicken's egg is the first one I was going to use. So you see all these eggs. You don't have to guess which one. You just got to wait and see what pops out. And you'll know exactly what was in it. Guaranteed. Every single time. It's guaranteed. You plant that seed. Don't tell anybody what you planted. But when you go out there and you pick whatever it is, oh, why do you think people say everything comes to light? Because of the principle of correspondence, as within, so without. Oy vey. Anyhow, do not let me natter on in here because YouTube is telling me 43 minutes. But my mouse, my mouse is on my iPad and I don't know how to get it off to get it to my computer. I don't know how they did it, but they somehow linked because, Apple, but I digress. So I want to do this thing on my computer so I can see the chat. I can't figure out how to do it because your girl is learning to be tech savvy, right? And I'm learning to be tech savvy. A little bit. Little bit. Let me see. Let me test this out. Arg. Oh, my goodness. I don't know how I got there, but we gon' I did it. I did it. OMG. Oh, that was scary, but your girl did it. Oh, your girl did it. I did it. I figured it out. I know Melly Mel was in the chat because I saw your name there. See? And I trust that it makes sense for us. Okay? I trust that it makes sense and that we will apply it. Okay? You already have the guarantee. You don't have to go looking for it and hoping and praying and wishing, hoping and wishing. And yeah, you don't have to do that. When they say, trust the process, you already know the process. Mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. That is the process of life. You know that process. You have to trust it. You know it. You know it. So be bold. Be courageous. And know, KNOW, the more you know. Anywho, then you know what you know. When they tell you, if you know, you know. So once you know, apply. How else will you know what you know if you do not apply it? I will always give you the example of Biscuit, my little feller. Oh, Biscuit is a naughty boy. He is. I hear about all his antics. Oh, yes. Him and Popcorn. Now, Popcorn doesn't argue with anybody. They just know he's the king. Right? And that's how he walks. I am. He knows what he is. Biscuit comes along and he says, yeah, you might be king, but I'm here too. And Popcorn will look at him and Biscuit will scurry away. Because he respects, he understands. They understand each other. They know their roles. They play their roles. Well, you've got to know what role you want to play. What role do you want to play in this world? Well, then, play it. After all, William Shakespeare did say, and the world is a stage and we are merely actors upon it. But what he didn't know is the caliber of actor you are. Oh, indeed. He does not know that you are a phenomenal actor and you can play any role. Yes. Play your role. It is guaranteed. Anywho, I love you. We all know Melly Mel is here. Perhaps Mr. Stafford Jr. Mm-hmm. Liza, darling, ray of sunshine. The better man. Where's K-Frame? K-Frame. We looking for you. Oh, beloved love troll. Hello. It's Symmetric is in the house. And Yoda Green is in the house too. Listen, Twitter is bumping. Hello. Twitter is bumping today. Well, hello, Don. Big Mike? Oh, my sweet Casey. Yes, I've missed you these past couple of days, darling. I have missed you, darling. I have. Moon. Well, howdy, stranger. I see you, Moon. And Dolphin Duck. We can't forget Dolphin Duck. Ray Ray is in the house. Oh, Miss Deborah. Oh, hello, darling. Miss McGreen. My Scotch bonnet. Hey, girl. Listen, it is excellent to see every single one of you in here today. It really is. I trust now that when you go out into this world, you're not going to be out here talking about, well, I don't know if it's going to happen. Remember, if you can plant a kernel of corn, if you can plant a pea, if you can plant any seed, it's going to grow and it'll bear you some fruit. Indeed, it shall. So, use the principle of correspondence to apply it to your life. Well, how so? You have a garden in your mind. Oh, jeez. I said garden and Bridgerton flashed into my head. Now that's what you call some serious, serious propaganda. My garden is in bloom. Anyway, you have a garden in your mind. And it has the most fertile soil there is. And whatever that seed, that mentality is that you put into your mind, oh, it will bloom and blossom and be fragrant in your life. So make sure that you plant in roses, maybe even some Scottish heather. But for the life of, oh, don't plant that death flower. Because when it blooms, ooh, what would that death flower be? Complaining, bitching, and moaning about things ain't going to change. You don't want to plant that in your life. Plant something beautiful. I mean, everything has its purpose, but who wants to smell that? But I digress. Something likes to smell it, but that someone is not me. However, plant something beautiful in your life. Plant a beautiful mental attitude and watch what you become. Oh, it's guaranteed. But test it out. You don't just get a recipe and leave it there and go, well, I hope that tastes good. Nah, you listen, you're going to have to burn some things a couple of times. My son always used to make fun of me. When the smoke detector would go off, he goes, oh, Mom, the timer's done. And I'm like, you better hush. Oh, my goodness. You got to try out the recipes, man. Try out the recipe of life and see how beautiful you can make it. You've got this. You truly do. Guaranteed. Remember, I'll see you here again tomorrow. And every time I say something like that, I hear my grandmother, I hear my father. I do not believe I ever heard my grandfather say it, though. But I hear the rest of them saying, well, God willing. Because they say that all the time. God willing. I'm like, who willing? But, I'll see you on the morrow right here. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, fan base, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oh, indeed, because it's Friday. So, what are you going to do? Are you going to generate the mentality that you want? Because it is associated with the life that you want? Thus you will become it? Well, like any great master would tell you, the Kung Fu master would tell you, you become what you contemplate. You become what you practice. Well, we could pull a Barry White. Telling me this, telling me that. Once I've been with you, I'll never go back. There is a lesson that I want to teach. Here I am, baby. Practice what you preach. Yeah, so practice what you be preaching. That's for me, not you. Practice. Practice, practice, practice. And you become what you practice. Guaranteed. PositivelyAngela.com. Hit your girl up. And let me know how you're doing. Oh, anyway, I love you. And I will see you on the morrow. All right, all right, all right. Because if I don't tell you bye, I will stay here. And as my grandmother said, you duck pick your water. Meaning, girl, don't you hush. Little did she know. Anywho, I love you lots, and I will see you again, my darlings. I will see you again, and I eagerly look forward to seeing you. Don't think, beloved love troll, that I have forgotten you, son. I have not forgotten you. We got to do something together. I know. I didn't forget. I didn't forget. We got to collaborate. All right, y'all. Mwah. I love you. Peace.